Joe, one of the big mysteries I've always had about the Gary Gensler and the SEC is where does he get his confidence from
Yeah,
to
me too.
go
So true.
and go toe to toe with some of the biggest.
I say that all the time. Why does he feel like he has cover to do this? Who's
Right.
giving him the authority or the mandate?
And like between me and Ryan, I'm the one who's very willing to put on the tinfoil hat and go out there, and so I'll do that here. Is like the big banks, the incumbents. Rather than just like looking at the narrow details, you can kind of zoom out and see just incentive structures in the old world that doesn't want things to change. This is a pattern throughout human history: is that the people that are in power don't like change because that's disruptive to their status quo. Like there could be some sort of pipeline between the incentives of those power structures into the current political party that put Gary Gensler in power in the first place. And that is like the perceived blank check that Gary Gensler has to do some of the things, the harassment that he's done of this new power disrupting industry. And so like, is that kind of where you're saying like where he has this like blank check from incumbent power structures?
Yeah, with conspiracy caps on, one has to wonder. First of all, he's a very smart individual. His brother Robert, we understand, is very very smart and possibly libertarian, and
Possibly own some crypto. I mean, who knows?
possibly own some crypto. And so Thanksgiving at that family's dinner table should be just fascinating.
Little brother, why are you flooding my bags?
I would love to be invited to that. Very smart politically, been engaged at the top tiers of the financial industry at Goldman, at the CFTC for a very long time. Was he smart enough to position himself to be an MIT professor, an expert of blockchain by himself, or was that coordinated in some way to give him legitimacy to take the role? He's also done some research on AI, and I think he's written some things. So either way, we find ourselves in this position. And as you're aware, Elizabeth Warren has been placing people in positions of power in the current administration. John Deaton, is now going up against Elizabeth Warren. He referenced on, I think it was Fox Business a few days ago, that there's an entity called the Bank Policy Institute that I don't really know much about, but apparently they're a banking industry think tank. So all he did was reference that. And so I started paying a little attention to them on the internet. And there is a coordinated effort involving Elizabeth Warren and those banks that she used to attack quite strongly to make sure, again, the banks can continue to operate business as usual, and the U.S. government can continue to operate business as usual.
I'm not usually like on the tinfoil hat side at Bankless. David has
That's
that
my
territory
job.
covered for us. But I gotta say, just like observing sort of what's been happening with crypto, it's hard to not see this as part of a coordinated effort against crypto. It's almost as if Gary comes to chairman of the SEC, and he's sort of tapped by somebody, some group, basically says, "Hey, what can you do to just like slow this down?" Right?
Sure.
I'll work with these other agencies and like we'll do other things to slow it down. But the SEC, like how can you gum up the works, right? You throw it in the court system, like what can you do here just to buy us more time to figure out how we fully stop crypto? I mean, if that conversation happened either explicitly or implicitly, we would see the actions essentially that Gary Gensler is taking now. And it would be a rational explanation because apart from something like that, it is hard to find a rational explanation for not only the actions he's taking, but the degree of confidence that he's like taking these actions with, as you and David were just saying, Joe.
Yeah. So slowing it down is one thing, and maybe it's not even a terrible thing. So slow it down for the benefit of big financial institutions so that they can get involved, or maybe slow it down because the discontinuity that we could face if Ethereum, the platform, and Ether, the token, just rocket from here as a result of the floodgate of the EtherSpot ETF being opened, that could be pretty jarring to a society. And so maybe these kind, wise souls who are running the government are just thinking about smoothing the transition to a rigorously decentralized future. I don't think that's true. I think more likely they're trying to maintain the structure of control in the US and across the planet, and try to figure out how to co-opt the technology and dumb down the technology and make it a sort of either an American style decentralization where you got to register and there's significant regulation and backdoors and things like that. And so it's basically a clash of civilizations at this point between those who want to maintain top-down command and control and those who believe in rigorous decentralization.
If you enjoyed all of that, then you'll absolutely love the Bankless newsletter. Join over 300,000 fellow readers, all for free. Click below to sign up.